Hey guys! So real quick before we get into the video, I just wanted to talk about recent events. Obviously we all know that George Floyd was recently murdered, and then a few weeks before him a young black woman by the name of Breonna Taylor was also murdered in her own home. She was shot 8 times, and no arrests have been made on that case. So I'm going to leave some links down below for petitions for Breonna Taylor specifically, but I'll also of course link down like the big resources page that has everything as well. But yeah, so that's something that's going on. Also, if you've heard about the book outlet stuff that's going on, they have basically said that they don't think that black booktubers are family friendly when they have when a lot of their vlogger friends that are white also cuss on their videos. So yeah, don't buy from book outlet anymore. A year or two ago I had done a video of like a book outlet unboxing. I have since taken that video down because I do not want to give them any type of support, and I don't want people to watch that video and then go order from them or something. So I took that down, and I am sorry that I didn't know for so long. I should have been educating myself more on that type of stuff, so I'm sorry. Black lives fucking matter. Do what you can. Support our black booktubers. I'm going to leave more links down below to black booktubers. I did that in my latest reading vlog. I'm going to put those links down below again. So support the Black Lives Matter movement, listen to the black booktubers that we have on our platform, and just do your part, because Black Lives Matter and we need to do fucking better as a community. We need to do better. So that's what I got on that. And now this is going to be my May wrap up. I'm sorry I haven't done very many sit down videos, but as you guys can probably guess from my intro, shit's hard right now, and it's hard to really care about such trivial things at the minute because it's a lot, and there's a lot going on in the world. And yeah, anyway, so I read a total of 25 books in the month of May, and one of the first books I read was The Babysitter by Jack Harbin, which is just a little smutty novella. It's gay. It was fun. I gave it 3 out of 5. It wasn't the best, it wasn't the most well-written thing ever, but it was entertaining. It was quick to read. It was what it said it was going to be. So yeah, 3 out of 5. The next book I read was The Tropic of Serpents by Marie Brennan, which is one of the Lady Trent memoirs, which it's the second book in that, and I love these so much. Basically, it's all about this woman who like goes out on these expeditions and for dragons, and she's like the person that like draws them and everything, and just, oh my god, it's amazing. I love these books. They're really good on audio. It seems like Lady Trent is actually telling you the story, so I highly recommend those. I give it a 4 out of 5. I just have a really great time whenever I read these. And the next 2 books I read, Chainbreaker and Firestarter, both by Tara Sim. These are the second and third book in the Timekeeper saga thing. Guys, these are some of my all-time favorite books now. They were so good. I finished Chainbreaker and I immediately started the audiobook of Firestarter like that same day at work, which normally I don't do. I'll usually listen to one audiobook at work and then listen to music the rest of the day if I finish before I clock out. But that day I was like, no, I have to know what happens. Oh my fucking god. So like, yeah, very good. Highly recommend. I gave Chainbreaker 4.5 out of 5 and I gave Firestarter 5 out of 5. Highly recommend. Amazing. Just some of the best I've ever read. I loved it so much. The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. This is the second book in the Poppy War series, and it was really good. I will say, I don't think I loved it. Like, I still gave this a 5 out of 5, but I don't know. I think the first book, because I reread the first book like a month or so ago, and oh my god. But this was still a lot of fun. It took me forever to read, though. I do remember that. Like, I was reading this for like 2 weeks, I swear to God. But again, there was a lot of shit happening in May. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed this. I'm really excited to read the next one. I wish I had it now, but oh well. But yeah, I do really love this series, and I do really love where the characters are going. I really like the journey that Rin goes on in this book. I don't want to spoil anything, but there's just a lot that she has to deal with and go through, and I feel like it's very authentic to the struggle of that. So super love that read. And that was Afterworld by Scott Westerfeld. I actually listened to the audiobook while I was at work, and this is one of my favorite books. I love Scott Westerfeld. I don't know if many people know that about me, but I love Scott Westerfeld so much. But this is basically, it's like 2 books in one. So we're following this girl who wrote a book during NaNoWriMo, and it, you know, she submitted it and it got taken up, and she got a huge book deal, like a lot more money than you would normally get. And she's like 17, or she just turns 18 in the book, and she defers her college acceptance for a year, and she moves to New York to can do her writing and stuff. And so part of the book is her story about all that, and the other parts, the ones that are in black, that's the book that she actually wrote. And it's basically like following this girl who can like go to the other side ever since she like almost died during a terrorist attack in a airport. Like, it's crazy, but it's really, really good. It's one of my favorite books ever. There's a sapphic romance in here, so like, we love to see it. Yeah, so this is just one of my favorite books, and I listened to the audiobook, and it was still a good time. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Another reread, and that was Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. This is one of my all-time favorite books, which apparently is a theme for this month for what I read. But this is one of my all-time favorite books. I've reread it so many times. I have so many tabs. I just adore this book. It is one of the best like feel-good books. And I'm Kath, and like I've been really working on fan fiction lately, and like this fan fiction story I've been working on and everything. So this was just like something I really wanted to reread, and I'm glad I did because I had such a good time with it and everything. And yeah, I just love this book. I really don't have anything else to say, and of course I gave it another 5 out of 5 stars. And then the next 7 things I read were Gravitation. This is a manga series that I love. So volume 1, volume 2, volume 3 and 4, volume 5 and 6, and volume 7. And yeah, this is one of my all-time favorite manga series. I've actually started rewatching the anime for the first time in years, and I'm just like, oh my god, I forgot how much I just truly love this series. It's amazing. And I think at one time I read this fan fiction, and for some ungod known reason I keep thinking that that's something that has actually happened in this story, and I keep waiting for it to happen. I'm like, where is this scene? And then I'm like, wait, wasn't that a fan fiction I read back in the day? So now I'm just like, oh my god, my life. Yeah, so that's the wonderful world of fanfiction, guys. There you go. You're not sure if the fanfiction you read is actually something that happened canonically or not, and like, ugh, it's crazy. But I gave all of those volumes 4 out of 5 stars. It's one of my all-time favorite manga series. Love it so much. The next book I read was The Werewolf of Fever Swamp by R.L. Stine. I used to love the Goosebump books when I was in like middle school, and a lot of the audiobooks are on overdrive, so whenever I'm kind of just feeling meh at work, I'll listen to a Goosebumps book because it's just funny. And they're stupid sometimes, and I just have a fun time. Although the only one I can't find is the one I really want to fucking read, The Phantom of the Auditorium. I loved that book. So if anybody knows where it's at, if you know where the audiobook is at, you need to let me know, okay? Because I love that book so much. But The Werewolf of Fever Swamp, I gave it a 3 out of 5. It was good. It was funny. The ending kind of makes you go, ooh, you know. But again, they're not the greatest things you've ever read. They're much more meant for children, but they're still fun as an adult. I still have a pretty good time listening to them. This book I read is one of my favorite books that I've read this month. It was so good. So The Whispers by Greg Howard. Oh my god, this is probably one of the most atmospheric books I've ever read. Like, you really feel like you're in the woods with the main character, and you're really like taking everything in and stuff, and like I could see the whispers like the entire time that those were like the whispers were described and everything. I was like, oh my god, like you can just really see it and you really feel like you're there. So I thought that was really well done. I really love the story. It's really heartbreaking at times, and you really feel for the characters, and I really loved it. So I gave that a 4 out of 5. And I'm really happy that I read it. The book I read was The Golden Tower by Holly Black and Cassandra Clare, which is the last book in the Magisterium series, which has been one of my favorite series that I've read. I feel like I keep throwing around favorite. I don't know. This was just a month of like favorite stuff, favorite books. I don't know what was going on. But yeah, I think the first book is still my favorite in the entire series, because that one just really blew my mind, because I thought I had predicted the plot twist, and then it was just completely something turned on its head, and it was great. So I feel like the first one is still my favorite, but I did really enjoy this one, although it had one of my least favorite tropes in it that really kind of made me mad. But it's also like a middle grade, so like it makes sense that they went there, but it's also annoying, so like what can you do? But I gave it a 4 out of 5. Red is The Adventurers Guild by Zach Lauren Clark, which I fucking loved this book. It really was reminiscent for me of this game I used to play on my phone years ago. I don't think this game still exists, but it was called Little Kingdom, and it was the cutest fucking thing, and you basically built your own little kingdom, and you had like different floors, and you got to assign where people were gonna work, and you had all different kinds of things, and it was just so cute. And that's what this book reminds me of. It reminds me of that game, and it's so adorable. It's got dwarves and elves and all those types of things, and like it's like this kingdom, and everybody has their own little apprenticeship, and like, oh, it's just so cute. It's just so cute. I just loved it so much. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. It's just one of my favorites. It was just so fun. It's Inheritance by Melinda Lowe. Inheritance is the sequel to Adaption, and I had read Adaption in April and I read Inheritance, and it was just not as good. I know I talked some shit about Adaption when I was reading that book because the pacing was off, but the pacing was even worse in this one. Adaption, it's very much like something crazy happens every chapter, so you're like pushed to keep reading because you're like, holy shit, what's gonna happen next? But then Inheritance was a lot slower, and it was just like kind of just like, it was just boring. It was just boring until like about 30% in, and then it finally finds its stride, and then you're like, oh yeah, this is good, this is good, this is good. And another part that's kind of like, eh, and then the last 30% is pretty good. But yeah, I don't think the book should have been as long as it was. I feel like what was covered in like the first 10 chapters could have been covered in like 2 chapters, and then we could have got to the interesting stuff and like, I don't know, whatever. I gave it 3 out of 5. It's alright. It's okay. I read Arusha and the End of Time, which I really enjoyed. This month I just really was finding a lot of middle grades that I was just adoring, and I found that I really love to listen to middle grade audiobooks while I'm at work. It just is, they're like so engaging and immersive, so they're really fun for me to listen to while I'm at work. So definitely have been loving that. I gave this a 4.5 out of 5. I love Arusha. I think she's amazing. Yeah, she's just such an interesting character, and I love the way that she views the world and her justifications and stuff. She's just really cool. I read was The Castle in the Mist by Amy Afron, which this was again another very atmospheric book. I didn't enjoy this one as much as some of the others that I read this month, but there is a sequel to it, so I think this sequel might expand on certain things that I don't think were covered fully, and for the unanswered questions that we still have, I think that the sequel will probably delve deeper into those, and so I think I might like the sequel better. But I did give it a 3 out of 5 stars. So, and then the last book I read this month was Arusha and the Song of Death by Roshani Chokshi, and this was just basically we find out that Arusha is canonically a Slytherin, which obviously, but I love that our main character is a Slytherin. I just love her. I just think she's the coolest person ever. And there's this funny thing I cannot tell you because it's a spoiler, but it's so funny. Oh my god, I can't get over it. It was just the funniest damn thing. So that was a good time. Yeah, I love Arusha books. They're the best. They're the greatest. My library does not have the audiobook bought yet for the third one, so I gotta wait a hot minute for that to come in, but when it does, I'm gonna be on it so quick because I love these books. They're fantastic. But yeah, so those are the 25 books that I read in the month of May because I'm insane. Thanks for knowing. Links down below to Black Lives Matter and all the places you can donate, petitions, things like that. So definitely check that out. Really quick, I did mention this in my reading vlog, but just in case you guys aren't reading vlog people, I'll mention it here. You probably know if you've been following me for a while that I also did a book vlog with a friend named Kristen. I am no longer doing that book vlog because when me and Kristen were talking about the protests and the murder of George Floyd, she was more concerned about the safety of her husband, who is a cop, whereas she was not at all having any kind of empathy. Well, at least her first response to the whole situation wasn't empathy for the Black Lives Lost. It was saying that she didn't want her husband to go to work, and that we really need some more anti-police bullshit, which I was like, it's not anti-police, it's anti-black people getting killed. So anyway, needless to say, I have cut her completely out. She's blocked on all my socials, and I am not doing that book vlog anymore. So if you guys followed me on there, like, I'm not there anymore. But good news, I started my own blog. I'll leave a link to that down below so that you guys can follow me on there if you want to. And I'm going to be doing more than just books. I'm going to be doing books, but I'm also going to be doing video games and fan fiction and writing stuff. So like, the website's called Nerdy Shit with Jess. So if you guys want to check that out, again, link down below. It'll be a great good time. It'll be fun. And yeah. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope that you're doing well. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.